Listen here, you're gonna do it right this time, alright? Or else. That's for me, because I've done this way too many times already. Hi, and welcome to my ADHD journey. This video is my first reflection on my ADHD treatment and just some thoughts that I've had. Hopefully this video will be useful for others. I know I was initially concerned about losing myself and find these thoughts comforting, at least retrospectively. I'll try and do this in one take. I'm not an editor or anything like that. I don't really have the time to go through properly, so there also might be some like gameplay in the background. I might do something just to change it up, especially because the camera is a jelly camera, so it just keeps wiggling and jumping in and out of focus, so I apologise for that. Thankfully when it does go blurry you're not exactly missing anything anyway. So for context, I was diagnosed with combined ADHD earlier this year. I requested the diagnosis and went through the process with the intention of taking medication just to help me with my symptoms so I can focus on stuff and can get stuff done much easier, much quicker. Yet when it came to my prescription, I found myself worried that I would lose myself. It doesn't seem like it's uncommon, especially for adult ADHD like diagnosis. Other people refer to it as sparkle. I don't mind. So sparkle or lose yourself, it's all the same thing. I was very concerned though that, yeah, I would lose what makes me me in a lot of ways. So I wanted to talk about like what I did to prep and just talk about taking it and diet and logging the journey, I guess, in hopes that might help someone who's worried about it going into it. So firstly, I know medication is never going to fix everything. That's not the purpose. So yes, it's always a good practice, and some of the stuff that I did was trying to set things up to help make it work before I took it. What I found is that doing that and taking the medication, it's just easier to follow it. It doesn't fix everything. Those things that I did prior to are still applicable after I've started taking it, but at least it does feel like immediately I've got more control around it. I can navigate around it easier. So definitely any prep work that you do prior to taking it, I would definitely recommend. For me, it was like just setting out times so I can actually try and finish a project, how to log it. I'm happy to share stuff like that if people are interested, but sorry, the wobbling of the jelly camera is actually so distracting. I could turn it off, but it's a good focal point as well at times. I just don't like it wobbling and jiggling and jumping in and out of focus, so I'm definitely going to have some gameplay because this is ridiculous. Thankfully you really aren't missing out on anything. One of the key things for me was to try and focus on my project, so it was like putting some time in for that, trying to structure just my time, so I encourage myself to actually go back to it, particularly when I'm stuck, and giving myself like baby steps into getting into more of a hyperfixation mode, because it's great when I'm hyperfixated. It's just when I'm not and the motivation's not there, it's horrendous. So my first dose I took yesterday. It's Elvancy, 20 milligrams, very small dose to start with. One of the things that you can't do is have caffeine with it. I've taken caffeine since I was in my teens, early teens. So for me that was a huge thing to suddenly try and stop doing, but I knew I needed to do it, and I actually started before I started taking it, because that way if I have symptoms from detoxing from caffeine, it's not going to impact the symptom check basically when I start taking the actual medication. I'm very glad that I did, because my headache was already massive, and that's not even taken into account the fact that by this point I'd detoxed from caffeine. So if I were detoxing from caffeine and I were taking it, I don't even want to think of how much my head would have hurt. What I did notice is how much heavy lifting caffeine was actually doing, which really did surprise me. I was trying to work. Here's point. Hello, Lance. I was trying to work, but it was completely pointless. It was like I had a really short refresh timer, particularly when I was writing. For me, that's when it really hit. So what I would advise, and what I wish I did do, is I wish I'd booked some time off, just so while I was detoxing from the caffeine. Maybe this doesn't apply to everyone, but at least then I'm not like stressing myself out, because for me I was like trying to do the work and knowing that I was doing way under par than what I expect of myself. Day one, I would recommend a lot of people try and do this, try and take it easier. The purpose of that is just to really assess how you feel on it in your day-to-day naturally, where you're not trying to push yourself or stress yourself out of anything. And that's what it helped me do. It helped me gauge my default, make sure that I weren't getting like heart palpitations, make sure that I was just listening to my body and seeing what symptoms were going to show up. Some are common, some are not. It's going to impact different people in different ways. It's definitely useful, in my opinion, to do that. But overall, I responded well. I had a few side effects, nothing too bad. As I say, there were headaches. That was maybe the worst. But ultimately, I just felt more switched on. I felt more like myself. I felt like my refresh timer wasn't so short. So where it'd be like every 3 seconds and whatever I was thinking would be overridden with a new thought, just didn't feel quite like that. It felt a lot more like I was in control of it. And it's weird because oddly enough I feel more like myself. My mood is, as a result, more like it's improved because I'm just more there, more present. It's very, very nice feeling. It's like I can sustain my focus similar to hyperfixations. Before it'd be like, if I'm not hyperfixating, it'd be relatively difficult to do it unless there was a particular need or are able to grab onto something. Whereas it just feels much easier to get a focus and stay on it much easier. I'm saying easier a lot, but yeah. I think the biggest issue yesterday was more on sleep. I had about 3 hours, but even then I've had it today and I've been up today without any, I don't feel tired, I don't feel exhausted. For me that's fine because I don't like sleep, but obviously I can't keep that going forever, so I will have to keep tabs on that. Outside of all that, it's been good, and I would say it's probably worthwhile pursuing despite any potential worry that you might have. It's obviously going to be different for different people, but the Elvanse for me has helped. Just make sure you prepare yourself, take it easy, don't over stress about it, or try not to over stress about it. You're not gonna lose yourself, which was a huge worry for me, and I'm no longer worried about that. That's about it anyway. I'll try and do regular updates on my journey. I don't know if it'll help, but I am happy to share and talk more about it. Hopefully it does help someone, but other than that, take care.